When a woman pours water, it's not just about physical actions. It's a symbol of emotional openness, her willingness to give, to care, to nurture. But what truly makes a woman open up like that? It's not words, money, or appearance. It's emotional safety, the invisible language of calm, presence, and trust. You see, every woman, no matter how strong or independent she appears, carries an emotional reservoir inside her. But she won't pour that water into a cup that feels unsteady. If you want her emotions, her softness, her care, you must give her safety first. Safety doesn't come from promises, it comes from emotional consistency. When she speaks and you truly listen, when she's vulnerable and you stay grounded, that's when her heart begins to trust you. A woman opens up not because she's weak, but because you've created an environment strong enough to hold her emotions. Female psychology teaches that a woman's emotional expression is her love language. The more emotionally safe she feels, the more nurturing she becomes. That's why the calm man always has more influence than the loud one. His silence doesn't threaten her, it invites her to pour. When she shares something emotional, don't rush to fix it. Don't tell her what to do, just listen. Say, I understand, and mean it. That simple validation has a psychological impact. It tells her subconscious, you are safe here. And safety is what activates her feminine energy. She becomes fluid, open, and emotionally generous, just like water. Most men misunderstand women's emotions. They think emotional intensity is drama, but to a woman, emotion is communication. If you react with calm understanding instead of frustration, she'll subconsciously trust you more. She'll start revealing parts of herself no one else sees. That's when she starts to pour, not because you forced her to, because you allowed her to feel. Emotional maturity is the key. You don't control her emotions. You hold space for them. You don't demand her openness. You earn it with presence. The one sure way to make her pour water, to make her open up, is to give her emotional safety. The kind of safety that doesn't judge, doesn't rush, and doesn't withdraw when she becomes emotional. When it comes to understanding feminine psychology, emotional safety stands as the foundation of everything. A woman can only open up, express her feelings, and show her true self when she feels genuinely safe in your energy. Emotional safety doesn't mean you agree with everything she says or that you never have disagreements. It means that she knows deep inside that no matter what she shares, you won't use it against her, mock her, or withdraw your affection. It's the invisible feeling of security that tells her, I can relax here. When that feeling exists, her energy changes. She softens. Her tone shifts. Her heart begins to open naturally, and she starts to express herself in a more nurturing and vulnerable way. That is the essence of what it means to make her pour water. It's when she feels safe enough to flow emotionally instead of holding everything inside. Many men underestimate how deeply women are wired to seek emotional safety before they can connect romantically or physically. A woman's emotions are her primary communication system, and those emotions need a safe environment to breathe. If she feels criticized, misunderstood, or emotionally unsafe, she retreats, becomes guarded, and stops expressing herself. But when she feels accepted and emotionally secure, she opens her inner world without resistance. Psychology teaches us that women's emotional openness is closely tied to their sense of security. When safety is present, their nurturing and affectionate nature flows effortlessly. But when fear or emotional instability is present, that flow freezes. It's not rejection, It's self-protection. To create emotional safety, you must first understand what it looks like. It's not about promising her you'll never hurt her, because even the best relationships have moments of pain. It's about showing her consistently that even during conflict, she's emotionally safe with you. That means listening without trying to win, speaking without attacking, and holding space for her emotions without trying to fix them instantly. Women don't open up to those who silence their feelings. They open up to those who hold space for them. It's in that calm, understanding energy that she feels she can pour emotionally and spiritually. Think of emotional safety like the soil in which trust grows. Without that soil, no seed of affection or intimacy can survive. You might have attraction, chemistry, or even love, but it won't last if she doesn't feel emotionally secure. When she senses that her vulnerability won't be used against her, she'll begin to share more of herself. She'll talk about her fears, her past, her dreams, and not because you asked her to, but because her spirit feels safe enough to flow. That's when she starts to see you differently. She sees not just a man she likes, but a man she can trust. And trust, in a woman's mind, is the deepest form of connection. One of the greatest mistakes men make is confusing emotional safety with approval. You don't have to agree with her emotions to make her feel safe. You simply have to validate that her emotions are real to her. For instance, if she's upset about something small, saying, "I can understand why that bothered you," does far more than saying, "That's not a big deal." To her, emotional dismissal feels like rejection, but emotional acknowledgement feels like connection. The goal isn't to fix her emotions, it's to create a container strong enough for her to express them without fear. When a woman feels emotionally unsafe, she either shuts down or becomes defensive. You'll see it in her body language. Crossed arms, silence, avoidance, or emotional distance. But when she feels emotionally safe, she does the opposite. She leans in. She becomes playful. Her eyes soften, her tone changes, and her energy starts to flow in a more feminine way. That's the exact state in which a woman gives naturally. She nurtures, she supports, she shows affection, and she expresses her caring nature. It's the natural rhythm of feminine energy, but it only awakens when emotional safety is present. What creates emotional safety is not perfection, but consistency. When she sees that your reaction remains steady even when she's emotional, her trust deepens. When she sees that you listen without judgment, her openness expands. When she feels that you don't withdraw affection during disagreement, her love strengthens. This doesn't mean you become overly passive or always agreeable. It means you stay emotionally grounded. The calmness in your tone, the patience in your eyes, and the steadiness of your energy all communicate safety on a subconscious level. A woman doesn't need to hear you say, "You're safe with me." She feels it in how you handle her emotions. From a psychological standpoint, emotional safety also triggers hormonal balance. When a woman feels safe and emotionally connected, her body releases oxytocin, the bonding hormone. This chemical deepens her emotional connection to you and enhances trust. On the other hand, when she feels threatened, dismissed, or emotionally unseen, her body releases cortisol, the stress hormone, which pushes her into self-protection mode. That's why emotionally safe relationships feel peaceful, while unsafe ones feel like constant tension. The feminine energy is like water. It flows, nourishes, and refreshes everything it touches. But water only flows in an environment where it feels contained, not scattered. If the container, your emotional presence is firm, calm, and accepting, she'll pour herself freely into it. But if the container feels unstable, reactive, judgmental, or dismissive, she'll hold back. Her emotional flow depends on the stability of your energy. That's the core principle of this keynote. Emotional safety activates feminine openness. It's also important to understand that emotional safety doesn't come from doing big gestures or saying the right words once. It comes from consistent micro actions over time. The way you look at her when she's upset, the way you respond when she shares something vulnerable, the patience you show when she struggles to express what she feels. These small, seemingly insignificant moments build or destroy emotional safety. They teach her subconscious mind whether you're safe or not. When you become the kind of man who provides emotional safety, you don't have to chase affection or attention. It naturally flows toward you, because the feminine energy is always drawn to calm, grounded strength. That's why emotional safety isn't weakness. It's power under control. It's the kind of presence that says, no matter what storm you bring, I won't drown. That's when a woman feels she can truly relax and be herself. She stops pretending, she stops performing, she simply flows. So, the one sure way to make her pour water, to make her emotionally and spiritually open, is not by force, persuasion, or pressure. It's by creating emotional safety so powerful that she can't help but flow toward you. When she feels that your energy is stable enough to hold her emotions without breaking, she'll pour everything, her care, her trust, her softness, into your world. And in that moment, you'll realize that feminine openness is never taken. It's invited through safety. Emotional mirroring is one of the most powerful yet misunderstood aspects of female psychology. At its core, mirroring means reflecting her emotional state back to her in a way that makes her feel seen, understood, and validated. It doesn't mean copying her words or mimicking her behavior. It's about aligning with the emotion beneath her words. Most men fail to understand that when a woman expresses a feeling, she's not necessarily seeking a solution. She's seeking resonance. She wants to know that you're tuned into her emotional frequency. When she says something like, I had a hard day, no one listened to me, she's not asking for advice on how to handle her coworkers. She's expressing that she felt unseen. Emotional mirroring would sound like, that sounds really frustrating. You must have felt ignored. Instead of, you should just tell them off. In that moment, she feels emotionally safe and connected because you've acknowledged her inner world rather than trying to fix it. In female psychology, this process of mirroring is deeply rooted in emotional intelligence. Women have a highly developed sense for emotional cues, tone, facial expressions, micro-reactions, and they read them instantly. When you respond to her emotions with logical solutions instead of emotional validation, she feels an emotional disconnect. It's not that logic is wrong, it's that logic alone doesn't create intimacy. The feminine mind bonds through shared emotion, not through reasoning. Mirroring shows her that you understand not just what she said, but what she felt. It creates trust at a subconscious level, telling her nervous system, he gets me. Once she feels that, her walls lower naturally. When you mirror her emotion, you send a psychological message that her feelings are valid. This doesn't mean you agree with everything she says. It means you acknowledge that her emotions are real to her experience. That simple recognition can dissolve defensiveness and replace it with connection. For example, if she's upset that you forgot to call, Responding with, "I told you I was busy," triggers defensiveness, but saying, "I get that it hurt you when I didn't call. I can see why that made you feel ignored," opens emotional space for her to relax. The difference between those two responses is the difference between argument and intimacy. Women subconsciously test for emotional alignment. They notice whether you recognize their emotional energy or dismiss it. When they feel dismissed, they retreat. When they feel mirrored, they expand. This dynamic isn't manipulation. It's how emotional bonding works in the feminine mind. From childhood, girls are socialized to communicate through emotion, to seek comfort and understanding, while boys are often taught to solve and fix. That difference becomes a communication gap in adult relationships. But when a man learns the art of emotional mirroring, he bridges that gap instantly. He becomes emotionally bilingual, able to speak the language of feelings with fluency and respect. Mirroring doesn't mean you absorb her emotions or lose your sense of self. It means you're emotionally stable enough to hold space for her energy without reacting. If she's frustrated, you reflect calm understanding, not irritation. If she's sad, you show gentle empathy, not impatience. This balance of calm strength and emotional sensitivity is what women describe as emotional presence. It's rare, and that's why it's so powerful. When you master emotional mirroring, you stop being one of the many men who argue facts and become one of the few who understand feelings. A woman will naturally trust and open up to a man who mirrors her emotions accurately because it tells her that her inner world matters to him. That's all the feminine wants, to feel emotionally seen, heard, and safe. Once she feels that, she stops testing, stops over-explaining, and starts relaxing into her natural softness. The moment you make her feel, "He understands what I feel without me having to fight for it," she begins to pour emotionally. Her heart opens. Her tone changes. The relationship dynamic shifts from competition to connection. It's also worth noting that emotional mirroring should always be authentic. Women can sense when you're saying the right words without real emotional awareness behind them. True mirroring comes from empathy, not strategy. To mirror genuinely, you must actually care about her inner experience. That requires slowing down, observing her tone and body language, and truly listening, not just waiting for your turn to respond. When she feels your attention, she feels your presence, and presence is the highest form of emotional validation. Think of mirroring as emotional attunement, like tuning two musical instruments to the same frequency. When her emotions feel chaotic, your calm empathy aligns that energy and brings it back into balance. That's what emotional leadership looks like. Not control, but containment. You're not mirroring to manipulate her emotions. You're mirroring to show that you're emotionally strong enough to understand them. In the end, emotional mirroring builds the foundation of trust faster than anything else. It's the silent communication that says, "I see you, I hear you, and your feelings matter." When a woman experiences that consistently, she can finally relax her guard. Her emotional flow becomes natural. She laughs more, shares more, and gives more. That's when she begins to pour water, emotionally and energetically, because her feminine essence responds to understanding like flowers respond to sunlight.